Anyway, here we are at the Citizen Relay review for the weekend and on the...
What date is it?
25th, of May.
Of May. So we've got 2 weeks until the relay starts next Friday. Just sort of thinking about how much we've done in the last week.
We've done a lot, and that started with you, I think, Jen, at Future Everything.
Yeah, so this time last week I was in Manchester talking about Citizen Relay at the Future Everything Festival at the Museum of Science and Industry, and we were hacking the Olympics because we had Paul Bradshaw from Birmingham City University who has been helping us tremendously in terms of how we visualise some of this stuff beyond just drawing it out on a map.
What seemed important to me was that in order to visualise it we needed to have content, and actually now I think what we've seen this week is our reporters all over the country generating lots of really interesting content. Yeah. So if you go to Citizen Relay, www.citizenrelay.net, you'll now see people from Dundee, Violetta producing fantastic videos. You see people from the northeast, Tom and Tyler's videos. So we've got people from different parts of the country now producing stuff, and they feel very empowered, I think, to go out and do that.
I do think that one of the reasons actually why that's starting to kick off is because the Torch is actually in the UK now. So we arrived on Saturday. So we're now starting to see people that might have not cared about the Olympics so much kind of starting to say, oh, right, the Torch is coming. Various streets around us are being kind of bunting and celebrations and stuff. So we're starting to get, like, even on Twitter, people that might have... I've been talking about the Olympics for the last 2.5 years and people haven't really been bothered about it, and now you're starting to get people that are trying to just jump on the bandwagon, but in a good way, in the sense that they're feeling a frustration about not being able to be represented.
And I think it's important for us as part of Citizen Relay that, you know, last Saturday when it launched in Cornwall, you actually saw BBC and others now beginning to report the Torch Relay, and again you see narratives beginning to be produced, and I think it was important for us then to think, well, actually, what will the Torch mean in Scotland? So I think that's encouraged the reporters and others to actually start to get involved and say, well, are we going to report it in the same way? Is it going to be the same story? Is it going to be the same interpretation? What's the kind of idea of the nation that's going to come through when it arrives on Scottish soil? And I think that's something that we'll obviously see over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, to start with, it's thinking, well, do we cover the torch bearers? And the torch bearers are interesting because the torch bearers are essentially not, unless you're a celebrity or have a story that can be translated in the media terms, if you're concise and it's something that's interesting or relevant to that day, you're covered. But there's a lot of torch bearers that are possibly in demand but aren't really being sort of highlighted. And as they start to realise that, they're starting to actually get in touch with us so we can send reporters or get them to become reporters in their own sort of space. So, I mean, that's really exciting as well. But we're kind of wanting to go beyond just looking at what's happening in the Torch. We want to look at everything else. So today, just completely on a Friday afternoon, wandering around Paisley where we're based, and we're speaking to some people, I guess, who got in touch with us around the arts and cultural sort of sector of Paisley, and we've learnt so much, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, they were talking, I guess, about legacy projects. You know, there have been cultural Olympiad projects in Paisley and in the Renfrewshire area, but not necessarily associated with the Torch. So the Torch doesn't come through Paisley, which is the largest town in Scotland, but it doesn't have that presence. So again, that we're finding with the Citizen Relay project is generating interest. Those that are not part of the actual official route, they want to have a say, they want to have a voice, they want to make some kind of statement about actually what they already have. They might be culturally rich, for example, but not being able to showcase that via the Torch Relay. So that's very much, I think, going to be a narrative that we see coming through across the country, because you know, with the best will in the world, you can't get the Torch Relay to go everywhere. We know there's a line about 95% of the country will be within 10 miles of the Torch, but you can still feel quite far away from it if you're 30 miles away.
Even in the same town, you can feel quite far away from it. You see certain streets are decorated and some aren't.
Yeah. I think one of the other interesting things this week is the way in which partners who are not our official reporters, who didn't undertake our training, are now contributing to the project. So you know, yesterday we posted an interview with Duncan Rigg Radio at Duncan Rigg School, where again school kids are involved through the radio that they have in school in interviewing people who are part of the Olympics, so Olympic torchbearers, and actually sharing that with Citizen Relay. So that idea that we would always try and get collaborative projects where people would share their content and maintain the content for their own end. So they own the content, they just share it, and then we aggregate it and actually say...
And wider partners, I mean, the Media Trust and Newsnet, Adam Perry was at the BBC Connected Communities Conference yesterday. They are helping, they're part funding a sort of a curator role, who's somebody that's going to be on the bus with me, which deadline's on Monday if you want to apply if you're a UWS student, to capture the people that are capturing the content. Yeah. So we're going to be not only capturing the stories on the road, but we're going to be capturing our story on the road, and I think that's really important, because sometimes you forget that actually what we're doing is pretty exciting and in a way, because it's never happened around the Olympics. I don't think there's ever been anything so kind of curated around this.
I think that's the idea of a creative evaluation, where rather than the evaluation simply being a kind of snapshot in time that comes after the event and you measure some performance indicators, you actually use the evaluation as a means of actually engaging more people, and actually you're leaving yourself a legacy through that, because the skill set that this individual who we'll get through UWS will hopefully also come from the reporters that we have, so they also become evaluators of the project. And I think again those will be the successes if we can make those kind of things really work.
So next steps, Monday, deadline on this. Tuesday we'll make a decision. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to Fort William tomorrow to check out the route, because we are going from Glasgow to Inverness in one day, and if anyone's ever done that road, it's a nightmare. So therefore I'm getting ahead of the game, going to go speak to some people who are mountain bike, part of the mountain bike championships that falls at the same time in Fort William. We're hoping to have a base in Fort William, and we're hoping to just perhaps as the bunting is now out, we can actually identify what towns, we know on the map, but we can actually visualise what towns are actually involved and get our flyers out.
And what we're going to, I guess, do in the next week is we're now developing media centres across most of the parks, most of the cities and large towns where we know we're going to be based, so that again people can come and upload content there. We're going to be developing a kind of 3-step approach to how people can contribute content who are not already reporters. 1st of June we'll be launching that. So that will allow people to get the chance to say, we're little cards that we'll hand out on the route saying, if you're taking photographs, then like us on Facebook, contribute via our hashtag #citizenrelay, @citizenrelay, so that we can actually get people who are not involved at this moment to feel that when the torch comes through they'll be involved. So
it's great.
All good.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what next Friday's going to look like, because this week's been just crazy. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
We're done.
Thanks.
Right, thank you.